This is The Bottom Line. The Bottom Line on 938 Live.
Singapore has fewer highly engaged employees than the global average. This according to a worldwide study by professional services firm Towers Watson. Only 35% of Singapore employees are highly engaged compared to the 40% globally. To find out more, 938 Live's Travis Teo spoke to Amrita Prasad, leader for the Employment Engagement Survey team at Towers Watson.
We've seen that Singapore employees are less engaged than their global counterparts, and we found the main sort of drivers of engagement in Singapore to be issues around leadership and management, around career and development, and around pay and performance. So those are the three main reasons that we're actually seeing, engagement scores in Singapore being the way they are.
Right, could you go in depth into that? Why these areas, and are there particular areas that they are not so happy about?
Yeah, we actually found the main aspect that drives engagement to be around leadership and management. And what was very telling about this year's study was the focus on the immediate supervisor or the immediate manager, where we had only about 50% of the people in Singapore saying their manager was effective. And that's far below the global score that we actually got for that particular area. There clearly is an issue with employees' perception of their immediate supervisor and immediate manager.
But how do you think companies what should they do to help engage their employees more? Should they have more effective managers?
So, not to say that there's nobody in Singapore with an effective manager. So, we did find 50% of people saying they had an effective manager. And what we did was we studied their responses a bit closely. And we found the biggest differentiator between an effective manager and an ineffective one to be the aspect of authenticity and trust. So managers in Singapore seem to be doing their jobs well, but what employees are looking for is the human being behind the manager, the authenticity and trust, and they want their managers to move from a position of authority to a position of authenticity.
But does it lose that superior and, subordinate relationship that a work office might need to have?
We think the traditional roles of superior and subordinate are being redefined. I mean, a manager is a part of the team, and a manager, has to have his team come along with him in achieving the business goals. So, sure, a manager has greater responsibility, is responsible for achieving the KPIs of the team, but he needs to take the people in the team along.
Right, I see. So what are some of the implications if employees are disengaged or they are not as highly engaged?
Well, I think at the very basic level, we found that disengaged employees want to leave, right? And engaged employees have a far higher probability of wanting to stay. So where we're seeing in an environment like Singapore, where talent retention is critical, and the levels of employment here are so high, it's important for organizations to want to keep their people, and the way to keep them is to engage them, and the way to engage them is to have effective managers.
That was your bottom line. Amrita Prasad, the leader of the Employee Engagement Survey team at Towers Watson, speaking to Travis Teo. And the bottom line is brought to you by Turkish Airlines, Europe's best airline.